Over a month after the deadly DCA midair collision that killed 67 people, 2 hours ago, the National Transportation Safety Board gave us an update on its investigation into this midair collision. The agency is recommending a number of actions here to address some of the safety risks. And to help us make sense of it all is former NTSB investigator Greg Feith. Greg, it is good to have you with us today.
Thanks, Mo.
Now, I know sadly you really have a lot of experience on these kinds of investigations, and a few things came out during that press conference, namely that helicopters should be barred from that 4-mile stretch along the Potomac. And I wanted to get your immediate, reaction to that.
I'm concerned from the standpoint that I don't think they should be barred. There are other avenues for allowing those aircraft to continue to fly. There are restrictions in place. The questions that I have, based on what the NTSB chairman said, was they talked about a number, several thousand events where there were what's called a traffic alert or a resolution alert. But she never identified whether those took place at night or during the day. She didn't talk about proximity. And you are always going to get some level of TA or RA, as they're identified, when you have close proximity. Whether it's over the Potomac River or you're flying two very close parallel approaches into close spaced runways. So there has to be some context there, Simone, and I'm concerned about the lack of context in that press briefing.
I'm thinking about people watching this at home, and the other thing that comes to mind here is the warning signs, as you touched on, leading up to this crisis were there, right? NTSB investigators said in their preliminary report, they cited data, a mountain of it, that detailed thousands of near collisions at Reagan-Washington National Airport over the years. From your professional expertise and opinion, why do you think it took so long to make this type of a change?
Well, we've seen this in the past, Simone, and that is, there is this adage that, one accident, it's a rare event, it's not a big deal. Yes, that is an issue, but because there was so much data, where was the trend monitoring? Not only with the FAA, but with the NTSB, because again, they have a proactive mission statement as well. So if you have these near midair collisions, or at least you're investigating them, where was their trend monitoring? But the FAA should have been looking at these. And of course, we don't have all the data. We don't know from that press conference what those TAs or RAs were, because again, we're only getting one portion of the information.
So important you highlighted that, because again, this is a preliminary report, and when you try to wrap your mind around that, this did not identify the probable cause of the accident. Give me a ballpark idea. You've been on many of these investigations. How long would something like that potentially take to come out?
There's still a lot of questions. Again, the chairman was couching her words very, very carefully. The fact that they still have things to look at with the Black Hawk helicopter. There was initial evidence in one of her previous press briefings about the fact that there was a disparity between the altimeters in the Black Hawk helicopter. They got that based on conversations between the pilots in the helicopter. They have to ferret that out. They have to determine why that disparity was there, and then why wasn't it corrected before the helicopter continued. The other thing is, she said that the aircraft was flying further west than through that route. Again, is this an operational discipline issue? The press conference talked about all these helicopter and fixed wing encounters. Were they military helicopters? Were they civilian helicopters? Or are they a combination of both? There has to be operational discipline. And where's the oversight? That's the FAA's responsibility.
When things like this happen, we want answers now, right? And I know you were with us the night of the disaster in January. You said back then that an investigation is a process. And what my mind goes to here is something you just touched on, which is, we had a military side of this. We had a commercial side of this. And from your investigatorial lens, does it just kind of make your head spin trying to think of how much volume of an investigation there is still to go?
It does and it doesn't, because I've worked with the military when it came to investigations with civilian aircraft. They're closely guarded. There are things that can't go into the public record. But when it comes to training and discipline, as far as the operation is concerned, that's factual information. The board should already have a lot of that information. I think the bigger thing now is the hardware part, trying to determine, was there a mechanical malfunction or failure with one or more of the altimeters or the pitot-static system or a combination thereof? What was going on with that helicopter from an operational standpoint. I think that's what's taking a lot of time because of the damage to not only the helicopter, but also to the RJ that went in.
All right. Former NTSB investigator Greg Feith, thank you so much for your time and for your expertise as we try to understand all of this information. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Small.